Hi, this is Kate Nasser, the People Skills Coach, and I am thrilled to welcome to this discussion today the two brilliant authors of a powerful new book called A World Gone Social. And the authors are Ted Coine and Mark Babbitt. Welcome, Ted and Mike. How are you both doing today?
Wonderful. Kate, thank you so much. And I'm really honored to be interviewed by you. Thank you.
Doing very well, Kate. Thanks for having us.
Cool, very cool. Okay, so let's just jump right in. I'm not much on small talk, and you can guess my personality type from there. That's my new book coming out later. So,
which I can't wait for, by the way. But
Ted already gave me a lot of tips, and I'm so grateful. You've been very generous with your time. All right, so let's talk about A World Gone Social. First of all, I am thrilled with the title. I found the title very captivating. As the People Skills Coach, when I hear something called A World Gone Social, I get all excited. So tell me what you were most surprised about as you researched this book. You must have some surprises along the way, yes or no?
Plenty. Mark, do you want to go first?
Sure. I think the biggest surprise, Kate, because I live in this world now. This is where both Switch and Shift and my day job U-turn. This is where we sit, and this is how we've grown our companies, and so I assumed as we began writing the book that there were many other companies, many other leaders taking the same approach we did as far as using social to get our name known, to build a community, to listen, to engage. I just assumed that's how business worked now, because that's how we worked, right? Naive, certainly, but as I approached the book and as I began working with Ted, it occurred to, I think, probably both of us, how unusual that is. How unusual it is for leaders to have already embraced social as a catalyst. And later, as we were working on the book, we found all kinds of data that supported what we'd seen. That very few, especially people in the C-suite, were already leveraging social. And no, they and many not only hadn't embraced it yet, they almost refused to embrace it. And we say this in the book. Look, either you're going to embrace it or your replacement is. Mm-hmm. And we want to help you get there. And so that actually became a major focus of the book, was not just a report on A World Gone Social, but how you as a leader can become sincerely social.
Yeah, that's what captivated me when I read the book. I thought, oh my goodness, this is a roadmap of sorts for every leader who's thinking, oh, how are we going to do this? Here's a book that can really get you started strategically and, the real how-tos. I didn't find it to be just those books that just go on and on and on. And
then our work here is done. I'm so happy.
We were terrified of going on and on and on. Actually, so we were terrified. I know I was. I think Mark was. This is what Ted and Mark have to say. No, we're terrified of that. So instead, we look for examples. Every page has a new example, because what we wanted to do is say, okay, don't take it from us, because who are we? Check out what this company's doing. Check out what this individual is doing. Check out how this transformed somebody's career or business, for the good or sometimes bad. We try not to focus too much on the bad, but when it strikes a good balance against do this, please don't do the other. We brought up some bad.
Well, otherwise it's not going to be real. There is no technology out there, in my opinion, that is the panacea for everything. You have to take a very realistic view at all of this and use it and know when not to use it and know how to deploy it and know what not to. So the whole picture. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's like anything. And I hate to be, Mr. NRA or anything, but you take a gun. I know I'm making Mark laugh. We talk politics all the time. It's hilarious. Okay, take a gun. So, police officers have guns. Thank God, right? And then, so do criminals. Social media is like that. What are you going to do with it? It's just a series of tools.
Yes.
But what we really looked at more than just the tools, because other people, can write about that in more detail for sure, is we looked at what is social in general doing to completely transform the way business is done. Completely transform. And, one thing that just drives us nuts is the industrial age was supposed to end decades ago, like in the 70s. The information age, good luck. Industrial age managers looked at computers and said, sure, let's bring that into work and do things exactly the same way, but more efficiently. Well, efficiency is awesome, but that's too bad. So the new age never happened. And then, hey, here's the internet. Let's call it the digital age now. First of all, an age isn't supposed to last a decade, but anyway, let's call it a digital age now. And the internet's going to change everything. We're going to do exactly what we've been doing more effectively. Okay, all right. So the industrial age never ended. People never gave up the reins of control. And what we found in this book, that my favorite finding, because I like to tear down things that need tearing, is I'm sorry. We are in the social age, and that either makes you really happy or makes you so nervous you deny it. And either way is good.
What I think you're saying is that the social age means sharing power.
Yeah, it means actually asking for permission to have some power, because people, this is the democratization of everything. It's not just the democratization of society over generations that we've seen. With social, this is the democratization of business, of communication. You're getting people who are collaborating freely, and really now management's job is just to get out of their way, support them, help them. And that's very scary for a lot of people. Okay,
I think the job is also to be much more on the visionary, inspirational side and manage. Did I say something bad?
No. I was ceding the floor. I get on a tear.
I think this is excellent. I mean, what's interesting, you talk about sharing power and people asking to have power. I did a leadership workshop a couple months ago, and they wanted me to address the whole issue of employee and engagement, getting employees to give more suggestions and be more happy at work and all this sort of thing. And the first thing I said to them is, are you ready to share power?
Right. Good for you.
Good for you. Yes.
And they said, what do you mean? And then they started talking about delegating. And I said, no. Delegating is not sharing power. Delegating means you still have the power and you're telling you do this and you do that.
Right.
I'm talking about if you want people to come to work and really give suggestions and voice their opinions and care about work, then by definition, that is empowerment, which means sharing power. It doesn't mean giving away the store. It doesn't mean changing titles. It means sharing. You can't have engagement without sharing power of sorts. And it does. It's very scary. And I understand that. So we're kind of working through that step by step now.
Well, what you just described is hugely important, because it's so different from what we've been taught in business school by our mentors, by our parents, right? The leader is in charge. The leader knows everything. The leader has all the answers. And especially for us males, we see ourselves in that role, right? We women had this figured out a long time ago, right? They were much.
I didn't.
No, I'm serious. They were much more democratic in their leadership. They were much better listeners. They were much better engagers. Of course, I'm lumping an entire gender into one composite person, which isn't fair.
51% of all humanity.
Yeah, but
there's more comfortable. If you look at the trends, we are more comfortable with the concept of inclusion and sharing, because that's how we grow up, not just socialization, but sometimes I do wonder, and I don't mean this as a slam, is, when you grow up without having big muscles, you have to facilitate to get things done.
Yeah, it's true.
No.
And I've often thought about that. And again, it's not a slam against men, but I do wonder if it does. does stop them from this earlier development.
Well, I think especially as we talk about social, I am absolutely convinced that is true, because we love our power, right? We love our strength, and to become a social leader means relinquishing that, and that's
changing the definition of
Yep.
it, if you don't mind my.
and it causes fear. It causes, I mean, we're talking about a holistic change in how we think and act and lead, and that's not an easy thing for any human being, but I think especially us guys.
I'm going to write that one down, how we think and act and lead. That's a great, and it can be true of anybody. There are people who's just their personality types, besides gender, just put them in that got to be in control thing. So very good.
Oh, sure. Yeah, there are plenty of female control freaks, and yeah, exactly. But here's the thing, Kate, and you're the people skills coach, so you see this daily, I guarantee. So, leading by telling people what to do is much easier in the moment. I've got the answers, just do this, right? But here's the problem. It's much worse long term. So, I've got 2 girls, and I'm trying to raise them to be, good members of society. We'll find out. So far, so good, but we'll find out, right? So this is an ongoing thing, and it would be so easy for me to just, say, do do your homework, and then they're going to do their homework. Guess what? No way. And if I don't kind of help them along with that and make them love their homework so that they get from inside, short term tonight, I punish them for not doing their homework. The homework gets done. But we're not talking about tonight. I don't want to deal with the same problem next year too.
I got it.
Tomorrow night, next month, next year. So that's the way that leaders are. You can tell people what to do, and your job is just going to stink.
Yep.
It's not going to be fun.
All the leaders that you connected me with to interview for the blog post, thank you for publishing. That was kind of near and dear to my heart. I mean, they did the work. I just sort of collated it. Bottom line was, I knew the trend before it. Before I read it, I thought, I know what the trend's going to be, but keep an open mind. And needless to say, as the people skills coach, I read the results of the question, what surprised you about being a leader? And what they said was how hard it was to inspire people.
Isn't that funny?
I'm like, I already know. I knew that, but to get those examples was golden. So here's what I want to ask you now. Mm-hmm. We've talked about basically how will this book help. We've talked about the surprises. I'm very interested to know, in terms of social media, what do you think the effect has been on employees? The work lives of the employees, the people in the trenches, team members, and so forth. What effect has social media had on them? What do you think?
Well, I think the first thing, Kate, is that our social media and certainly the mobile devices that enable us to leverage social media has made the 9-to-5 mentality. It's gone. It's gone. And there's a few hanger-oners. There's a few people who still go to work at the same time every morning, commute the same way, put in their 8.25 hours, get back in the car, go back home, boom, like that part of my life is over. Now here's my family, or here's my roommates, here's my dog, whatever, right? And there's a very clear delineation. But for the most part, all of us are engaged now almost all the time. And I don't know if that's a good thing necessarily, but it's reality. And we are constantly connected, it seems.
It makes me wonder, it makes me ask you this follow-up question to both of you. Certainly, it can lead to terrible overwork, workaholism, terrible stress, no balance, right? That's the first thing that comes to our minds. But I recently saw an interview, Ivanka Trump, and she was being interviewed, and she said, I'm a driver type, and I hire driver types. She said, but I'm about maximum flexibility. She said, because with technology, we can be flexible. She said, if one of my employees, needs to go to the kids' dance recital at 4:00 in the afternoon, is no problem. But I know that employee is going to be, once that's done at maybe 8:00 at night, they're going to be on the computer getting that job done that needs to be done for tomorrow. So my question is part of the overworkaholism, the stress that's coming from this, mobile devices, is it coming from the technology? Is it coming from leaders and managers who are still in control mode rather than let's use it to make work more flexible? Measuring hours instead of measuring output. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me tell you my experience, and I'm speaking for Ted a little bit here too. Both of our primary organizations, Switch and Shift and U-Turn, are virtual, flexible work environments. We don't care when our team members get the work done, what time of night or day. As long as they get the work done, we don't care. We also, by the way, have a work environment where if we put an all hands on deck signal out, if the bat signal goes up and we need help right now, we know that every member of our team is going to stop whatever they're doing to pitch in and get it done. It doesn't matter what part of the world they're in or what time it is. It's just the way we work, right? So I'd like to think that we've grasped the best part of this, that yes, we're always connected, but we are hyper flexible. And yet we still have expectations. This is work. You have certain expectations. We all contribute. And there's going to be times where we all contribute right now. The companies that are not doing this, Kate, the ones that still expect you to do that 9 to 5 thing, but are also texting you at 6:15 a.m. in the morning to wonder where the report is, right? And calling you at 8:47 in the evening when you're putting your kids in bed, talking about tomorrow's workday. That is industrial age unacceptable. It's exasperating an already stressful situation, and it's certainly not healthy. It's not healthy for anybody. The manager that's doing this or the person that's answering the text or accepting the phone calls. This is an exasperation of an already tense situation, and that's not good. That's not good.
Ted, what do you think would take to evolve or change this? Certainly the technology is probably not going to go away. So,
right. So this is brilliant. This is my favorite part of the social age. If companies are bad or individual leaders are bad, unpleasant bosses, don't respect their customers, either one, people talk and people move. And that's the real danger. So if you are in a situation like Mark was just describing, you are using social not to hang out with your boss and get more work done. You're using social to ask your friends, is there something better out there? And the answer, and not just your friends, by the way, but your extended network. And the answer is, yeah, it's much better where I am. You should check it out. Or it's better at that company. You should check out that company. People go to Glassdoor. People do this in, LinkedIn groups. Like, what's a great place to work for? I'll tell you, there was a company that a few years ago, I saw all these people, all of their bios on different social sites had former researcher for this company. And I was very curious. Finally, I reached out to one of them that I had a relationship with online. And I said, why all the former? He said, oh, it's a terrible place to work. It's a great place to cut your teeth. You get out of grad school, you establish your reputation, and then you leave. And you know what? I'll bet you the board of directors has no idea. And I know this company, they're profitable, but the thing is that's because their competitor does exactly the same thing. What's going to happen is another company is going to grow that treats its people right, and they're just going to, it'll be too late. It'll be their Kodak moment, which you and I have discussed before. I flinch every time I say Kodak, but it'll be their Kodak moment of, wow, what happened? We were thriving up until, last year, and all of a sudden the bottom dropped out. It's because your talent dropped out. In the social age, talent talks like never before.
I'm writing that one down too. Okay.
Yeah, I want to write that down too.
All right. Here's a good question. I think it's a good question. So, because again, as the people skills coach, I'm all about positive interactions for success. Sure. So, and I want to hear from each of you. What do you think in terms of valuable human interaction? Is social media more harm than good or more good than harm?
Well, I have a theory on this, Kate, and I drive Ted crazy with it. I have a theory that if you are a drama queen, a diva, or a troll in real life, that is probably what you're going to be on social media. And one of the paradox of the social age is that we share at once too much and too little, right? I mean, we won't share the great blog posts that we just read because we want to keep our secret sauce. We want to keep knowledge, right? But we will share that our back aches again today, and I'm so tired of this, right? And so I don't react well to that. I don't do that very well.
He does it.
No.
I don't put personal information out on the internet anyway. I mean, I might put out, hey, I just got my book published or something like that. But
yes, of course.
Something like, I stubbed my toe.
Look,
I mean, I would tell my friend if I have a backache. That's what friends are for, not the world.
Yep. One of the best parts about social media, Kate, is celebrating wins, even the little wins, right? Because we don't get to do that very much, right? We before social media, we would do it at school or at church or going out for a beer Friday night. That was the only time we had to really celebrate. And the little wins, well, by the time Friday night came along or church came along, you'd already forgotten about them, right? Social media is an amazing outlet for celebrating those things that we're most proud of at that moment, right? And that's a great use of social media. It makes us feel more human. It makes us feel more connected. That is way different than talking about how your toes driving you crazy today, right? Or how these shoes, oh my God, why did I wear these shoes today? Oh my God, right? I mean, that's...
Especially, why did I wear these Gucci loafers? And now you've got a humble brag built in there.
Right. So the answer to your question, Kate, is yes, it's both. It's, social used as good is better than human beings have had it in a long, long time, maybe ever. Social media as bad is crippling. The drama can be crippling, and
also quite abusive too. I mean, you think.
Oh yes, think about the bullying. Think about the that troll at work that can tear down an entire culture with one or two tweets, right? Yep. Think about the boss or the corporation that says, in this company, we don't do social media during the day. You work, right? You have just destroyed your brand as an employer in one policy statement, right?
I think that's bad, but I also think, I go into places where they want me to say, hey, Kate, we've got employees that aren't doing their work. They're spending, they're doing they're not doing work social media. They're doing personal social media, Facebook, we met fans and all that sort of thing. And so, there's responsibility. It's how you use it. And I think what social media is showing what's in people's hearts and minds. Are you focused on work or are you not? I mean, if you're not focused on work, there are probably other ways in the past that people were, quote unquote, goofing off if they weren't contributing in some meaningful way. Ted, what do you think in terms of more harm than good or more good than harm?
So here's the thing. So the three of us met at different times on Twitter. Is social media good?
Oh.
Are you kidding me? So first of all, we have no vote in this. Social media is here, and it's only beginning, actually. There's so many more things we can't even imagine that are social. And even websites that used to be static are building in social components because it's smart. That's why. So that's one thing, is we don't get a vote. But the other thing is, look at the good that can come from it. Bad can definitely come from it. And, I'm a person who just moves on. I don't pay attention to the trolls unless, they're haunting where I'm spending time. Then it's a different issue entirely, right? Never mind. There's just tons of examples of that where, you just move along. So rather than getting enraged about this. However, what are the good things that can come from social? So I'm actually, by the way, agreeing with Mark. But what are the good things that can come from social? I met my co-author years ago when we were just, involved in a social stream, and little by little we got to know each other better and better. Same thing with my partner and Mark's partner, Sean Murphy at Switch and Shift. We were both tweeting in the leadership space, and with that hashtag leadership, you see each other, right? And over time, I read his work, he read my work, on our blogs, and we got to know each other. It went from social to the phone to a video talk, and same thing with you, Kate. I've been following you on Twitter forever. I've been reading your blog posts. And so then when we needed some smart contributors for Switch and Shift, of course I'm going to ask you. We built, my career by now is built on social media. Thank God for social.
Oh, yeah. I think social is the greatest no-cost neon sign for a business person ever invented. And if I had social when I started my business 25 years ago, I'd be in a completely different, it would be infinitely different. There's just no comparison.
Yeah.
Well, Kate, that is an excellent point, because, I spent a lot of time in the career space and the mentorship space, and I can't even imagine what building a career is like now for a 21-year-old that has not embraced social media.
Are there any?
That there are, surprisingly.
There are three.
Oh my goodness. No, guys.
Are not on social?
I'm
no,
joking.
no. Well, they're on social, but they're not using it to build a brand, right? They're not using it to build a career. But the ones, I don't have any real data on this, but I'm telling you, probably 8 out of 10 people that we work with that actually have a job when they graduate college have fully embraced social as a branding tool, as just demonstrating their value, establishing their subject matter expertise, getting known.
Are they teaching them?
No. This is a self-learned environment. Thank God our U-turn wouldn't need to exist. But some school,
maybe doing broad video casts into universities.
We are. That's what we do. And we do on-campus visits to talk about how important this stuff is. And there's some aha moments, even among the 22-year-olds. There, people go, holy mackerel! I never thought about using Facebook for that, right? Yeah. And the lights click on, and so it's impossible, not just for you and your business, or Ted and his career, or me, but for even the youngest careerist coming out of college. It is impossible to build a personal brand, to be known, to get known without being on social media today. It's where we're expected to be.
Yeah, very much so. Okay, so here's the probably the perhaps most important question, and that is, what are 3 messages from this book? I know it's a big book, and it's a lot of content in there. 3 things, 2 or 3 things, whatever, that you want people to know about this book. When they open it up, what are they going to read?
Mark?
You want me to go first? I'll go first. Sure. So I think that one of the biggest issues that we had when writing this book and interviewing the social leaders that had already embraced social, and those leaders who were still kind of hanger-oners, the dinosaurs that didn't want the social age or didn't believe in the social age, everybody asked the same question, regardless of whether they'd embraced it or not. And that is, how do I measure return on investment with this? How, it's not like a coupon code on Facebook ads. It's, I don't know how to measure this. I don't know how to report this. I don't know whether this is working or not. How do I do that? And that is probably the biggest issue among, especially the C-suite, but many other leaders. It's like, am I really going to spend 45 minutes a day personally on Twitter? And how do I explain that to my CEO or my board of directors? How do I show that that's time well spent? And I think that is a huge issue in the social age. We don't know in many cases how to do that, and it's because, Kate, I'll tell you the answer. The answer is because we're measuring the wrong things. You can't measure sales necessarily via social, but you can measure testimonials. You can measure engagement. You can measure increases in influence. You know, it's not about the number of Twitter followers or the number of Facebook likes. It's how many lives did you change today just by engaging, by collaborating, by talking even to a competitor about our next product, all through social. How has that changed your company? How has that changed your attitude? And those are hard things to measure, but especially with analytics and especially with big data, it's not impossible. We just have to measure different things.
Yeah, I totally agree. Let's jump over to Ted.
So, yeah, I think, you know, finally the thing with the analytics is like that's what's turning ROI into something that you could measure. You do have to absolutely measure it differently, but we came up with something in one of the final chapters, the social circle of life, where we introduce it. It's the bottom line is social without analytics is important, but we're not sure. Social with sophisticated analytics that are actually giving you measurements on how people's interactions online are, you know, showing up or not, are hitting or missing. That is just priceless, and it's only getting more sophisticated and better. Okay. So that's something that even small companies will be utilizing soon. Some already are. So I'll tell you, the things that surprised us a lot, because this is a 5-year project. You know, we thinking about it, then, you know, studying it, talking to people. Wow, what a big project. So let me tell you what surprised me the most, in probably, sorry about that, guys, in probably a really good way is in section 2, we talk about the death of large. Now, this does not mean if you run a big company now, your big company is going to go out of business, you know, next year. It doesn't mean that. But what it means is better be careful, it might. The death of large means you better act small fast, because small little nimble organizations are going to beat your pants off, and there's no longer the efficiency of scale like there used to be in the industrial age. That doesn't help at all. Now it's quite the opposite. It's, can you make a decision quickly and act on it quickly? Can you innovate even outside of your organization? That is the death of large.
So I think let me quickly jump in, because
yeah.
So what you're saying is, because of social media, small companies have the reach that large companies only, you know, used to have. But because small companies, as we know, are nimble, they could actually creep up on you simply because now there's a technology called social media that allows them to have the reach that before nobody even knew of, some little company in the corner of a country somewhere. And now they do.
And by the time you hear of them, maybe it's too late.
Yeah, Kate, and we try to say this in the book. It used to be the company that could throw millions and millions of dollars and had a runway long enough to lose millions of dollars while it was developing its next product won. It won almost every time. Now, the person working out of his garage with an innovative network, with what we call an open circle, ordinary person, extraordinary network. This person with an open circle can out-innovate, outpace, outsmart even those companies with millions of dollars and a long, long, long runway, because they collaborate, because they say, we're not confined to our bureaucracy or ego or agenda. We believe in a common mission. We're going to work together out of my garage, if that's what it takes, to fix this problem, to find a solution. And it could even be with your competitors, certainly with your vendors, your customers, your collaborators, your employees, but anybody can pitch in and solve a problem far quicker than these companies with these big runways and millions of dollars.
And the smaller companies, although they may be measuring, they don't spend anywhere near the amount of time worried and focused on how we're going to measure this. They spend their time doing it and getting the stuff out there and making money. So
right. Well, and to Ted's point, Kate, it isn't that it doesn't mean just because you're a big company doesn't mean you can't be nimble, right? Look at what IBM is doing with their social business team. Look at what Lowe's is doing by not treating social media as yet another channel, but but telling their entire team, we're all social. This is like a phone to us. This isn't social media marketing. This is marketing. This isn't social media engagement. This is us engaging with our customers, right? Look what Taco Bell is doing on Snapchat, right? I mean, these guys are doing amazing things, and they're obviously really big corporations, but they have these small teams with a narrow focus. They have a challenge to meet or an opportunity to digest and capitalize on, and they're doing it in small, nimble, what we call in the book, nano teams, and it's making a huge difference in how we think and work.
Very, very exciting. This book, when I read this book, I think, oh my gosh. That's why I wrote you that sort of testimonial about it, because
you sure did, yeah.
This is incredible, because it is a big, huge burden for leaders who have been held accountable in the old way, if we can use that phrase.
Yeah.
And now they know they have to lead a new way, but somebody, somewhere, whether it's the board of directors or stockholders or somebody, is still holding them accountable in the traditional, can you measure how many widgets, today mindset. So very interesting. Okay. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I could talk about this forever. How about a couple of closing thoughts? What would you hope this book does?
I would like to think, Kate, that even if this is the first salvo in a battle to finally end the industrial age, and the way we managed through command and control techniques, and the way we treated people like resources, we have systematically over the last 30 or 40 years removed almost every human element in the workplace, right? I mean, even human resources stopped being human decades ago, right? We became numbers. We became applicant tracking systems. We became a body with a degree, and I'm hoping that this book helps people realize how important it is to re-energize the human spirit in the workplace, and not just for the sake of treating people better, but to be able to look back and say, when we started treating people with respect and just got out of their way and let them do their jobs, we started doing some amazing things. And profits went through the roof. Our market share went through the roof. It all came down to us being social. It all came down to us being human. And so that's what I would hope for the book.
Okay. Ted?
And agreeing with my co-author completely, we had this really kind of strange time in world history where for the last 150 years, we had machine thinking. And that was efficient. It got us, a lot of the products we still use today are created by companies that operate that way. However, we're going back to where we've always belonged, back to where we were before this industrial age hit us, which is to being social. The reason that social is here to stay, and the reason that it's actually just beginning, is that it just plays to human nature. This is who we are. We like a beautiful sunset, and we like talking to people. And these two things will never change. So social media is just allowing us to do what we do, to be human again.
So very true. It's just so very true. I mean, I think back to my grandfather, who was an immigrant, and he set up a store, and people came in and they knew each other and they helped people out. And during the Depression, because my grandfather and my father they all got married later in life. So, I mean, this was the Depression, 1930s, and he had established a business, and he was helping to feed people who couldn't pay him anything. Mm-hmm. But later in years, they came back and remembered, and it was all about, creating a business through human connection that made a difference.
Well, Kate, your father was what we call in the book a relentless giver. Somebody who gives of themselves first, knowing that at some point, without keeping score, without little tick marks, but this is going to come back and it's going to help me someday, and that's hugely important, and that's what That's what social, and that's what I hope the book does for us is gets us back to days where your father helped because it was the right thing to do. And
Yeah.
ultimately, yes, it was probably good for his business too, but right now it was the right thing to do at the right time.
Well, A World Gone Social, I think, is going to go around the world. That's what I think. And
Okay.
I do. I mean, I think it's a fabulous book. I don't do a lot of book reviews, don't have time for it generally, but this book is something very unique, a very big contribution to, as you say, sort of evolving companies, evolving careers, evolving brands to some place that's already happening, but why fight it? Why not learn how to do it and ride the wave with it? So thank you, Ted. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate your time, and I hope that A World Gone Social will not only help everybody, but be a huge success for the two of you. 5 years is a big investment, so bravo.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you very much.
Have a great day, and we'll talk soon.